Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya. Same awesome Naya. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you are good. So I came across a video where this white man was talking about conservative white men and the southern men too, how they would do anything in their power to make sure that people that look like me are going through it. And this is just who they have always been. The fact that people will also vote against their own interest and act like it is okay is diabolic. They would rather be suffering and smiling than seeing someone that look like me enjoy because they do not want it. Is this not evil? Of course it's evil. Very proud people. They fly the flag because that is what they know how to do best. I remember seeing videos of them before the election saying, she's a woman. She can no handle this country. Now I hope the person you have in power that got balls, I hope his balls are balling now. I hope he is doing what you wanted. I hope your farms burn because some actually burned. Now there is no glory in seeing other people sad or go through it, but you all always love it. Let's get into this video.
This one's for the Southern men, not the politicians, not the bootlickers in Washington pretending to know bourbon from Boone's Farm. No, I'm talking to the good old boys, the poor but prouds, the ones who can bait a hook and throw a punch, the ones who cry at funerals and grin through pain and tip their hats even when the world spits in their face. The ones that sound like me and look like me and were raised like me, but somewhere out here on this long stretch of American decline, you've lost the damn map. What in the holy goddamn hell happened to you? Once upon a time, a Southern man was many things, some good, some bad, but almost always real. You could hear it in the callous vowels of his drawl and see it in the crack of his knuckles. He stood for something. He stood up even when the wind blew hard against him. He didn't need a flag the size of a billboard or a Facebook profile soaked in eagles and assault rifles to prove he loved his home. He just lived it, quietly and fiercely, with a bite and a laugh. And now your heroes are Donald Trump Jr., a taxidermed mannequin in a Bass Pro vest, and Eric Trump, a human gaff, J.D. Vance, who sells Appalachian grit like it's a can of soup, and Tom Cotton, a poster boy for robotic boot polishers. These are your Marlboro men? These aren't Southern men. They aren't even men in the sense my grandfather meant it. They're simpering little power fetishists in tailored camouflage, chugging masculinity supplements and playing Patriot on sound stages built by Wall Street. If these boys walked into the Queen of Clubs in Helena, Arkansas, they wouldn't make it past the jukebox. My granddaddy would have squinted at them, growled, and then beat the ever-living dog shit out of them just out of instinct. He bar fought like it was a second job, and not because he was proud of it necessarily. He actually rarely spoke of it. But because where we come from, there's a language older than words. And sometimes in a world full of liars and leeches, a fist is just shorthand for don't tread on me. He didn't fight for ego. He fought to defend the sacred ground between the front porch and the bar stool. And if you walked in greasy, smug, and full of yourself, the kind of man who'd lie to the waitress and kick a dog, he made sure you left different than you arrived. Donald Trump is just a New York greaseball with hands softer than an overripe peach and a mouth that runs like it's late to a poker game. His sons are worse. Soulless little guys dipped in deer piss and bravado. Junior, with his desperate little beard and his safari outfit, looks like a guy who tries to start fights at Little League games and calls security if it gets sideways. Eric, God bless him, is the kind of guy you'd hand a hammer and spend the next hour and a half watching him try to unscrew a nail. They're not men. They're just hair-gelled cartoons playing lumberjack. They don't work. They don't serve. They don't sacrifice. They don't build or fix or do a goddamn thing but inherit money and lie about it. And yet somehow these are the new standard by which manhood is measured. My God, how far we've fallen. They exhibit nothing, not one thing that we were raised to believe makes a man. Not courage, not humility, not grit, not loyalty, not strength of heart or spine or word. They sweat when it's humid, they pout when it's hard, and they run when it's dangerous. They wouldn't last 5 minutes under a tractor. They wouldn't know how to change their own oil. But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying violence is a virtue or that bar fights make a man. I don't think manhood is some holy grail to be earned through broken noses. That's cheap thinking. That's the kind of thinking they sell now. Packaged rage, televised chest beating, a bunch of cosplay cowboys co-signing each other's insecurities on cable news. Manliness isn't in your fist or your flag decals, it's in the quiet things, the hard things, the true things. And these boys you worship now wouldn't last 5 minutes in the world you walk through daily. The part that turns my stomach is this. A Southern man, a real one, wouldn't stand for how these clowns behave in public, not toward his wife, not toward his daughters, not toward his children or anyone else's for that matter. He damn sure wouldn't let some orange-tinted loudmouth mock a disabled person or insult a widow, brag about assault, or spit bile at working folks just trying to get by. His mother would have slapped his mouth clean off for half the things these men say, and his grandmother wouldn't even have wasted her breath. We were raised by steel and iron women in church dresses who carried casseroles in one hand and consequences in the other, and now you fly flags with a man's name on them. You worship him like a savior, and you can say you voted for the lesser of two evils if you want, and maybe you did, but when you defend him, when you excuse him, when you wave his banner like it's a Stars and Stripes reborn, you're not just complicit, you've already sold your soul. And I don't pretend to have the definition of manhood carved in stone. In fact, I think most definitions are too brittle and break under real pressure. But I do know what it's not. It's not inherited money and gold-plated toilets. It's not screaming on a stage while other people fight your wars and pay your debts. It's not throwing tantrums on television and calling it truth. No. A man is what he does when the storms come. A man is how he treats people who can't do a damn thing for him. A man is what he says when no one is looking, and how he loves when no one else understands. And these slick-haired frauds wouldn't recognize that man if he offered to help them jumpstart their helicopter. Where are the truth tellers? The ones who called out bullshit even when it came from their own side, the ones who didn't kneel to power or party, the ones who didn't want a king, but dared to be goddamn citizens. We have never been perfect down here. God knows the South has blood in its roots and ghosts in its halls, but at least we did have some kind of honor. Raw and flawed, but ours. But now we have cowards playing cowboy and wrapping themselves in Dixie nostalgia while licking the boots of northern con men. You told my grandfather that one day Southern men would kneel. Kneel, God help us, before Yankees with gold toilets and fake tans. He'd have thought you were drunk or possessed by the devil. But here we are. Men who once stared down hard times now waiting in line to be knighted by a game show host. You've made a liar of my grandfather. He told me we don't bend, we don't cower, we speak truth even when it's costly, that you measure a man not by the flags on his truck but by the weight of his word. We stand on dirt, not marble. That a Southern man for his sins never kisses the ring. And now I see you cheer for the ringmaster and beg to be shackled to him. So let me tell you this, from one of your own, from someone who still walks the same black dirt and still sings the old songs, stand up. Stop kneeling for fools. Stop praising cowards. Reclaim whatever dignity that once defined you, not through cruelty and not through guns or flags or chants, but through truth and courage, through the goddamn backbone that built barns and fought wars and buried family. You used to be better than this. Hell, we used to be better than this. Don't let it die with you. We're Southerners. We're unfit for crowns. We're too proud to bow and too tough to follow weak men with gold names and borrowed backbones. Let the South be known for its integrity and dignity. Let it remember what we claim to be and not what the world thinks we are. We've proven them right so goddamn often, I'm not sure we know how to prove them wrong. But for the love of God and biscuits, let's try. Defiance till death.
White people would rather lose democracy than give black and brown people access to it. And the way that America is responding to the ICE protests and the Palestinian protests just proves this. Who the state tries to protect and who it tells you is a threat shows you who it was built for. You notice the military was never called in for January 6th, but somehow they're called in for the ICE protests. 2. White people always confuse control with safety. And this is because whiteness believes in a power hierarchy. And this power hierarchy represents a spectrum of color, with white males at the top and everyone else in descending order. Any perceived threat to the control of white males is met with an incredibly exaggerated and emotional response, while real threats to the physical safety of black and brown bodies are considered irrelevant and minimized. And any attempt by the press or others to highlight this threat is squashed. Which leads us to number 3 and what this country was built on, which is white grievance politics is happy to burn down the whole house. From blocking voting rights bills to militarized crackdowns, a huge percentage of white Americans are willing to shrink democracy itself rather than share it and care for all the citizens. Democracy isn't a privilege reserved for a few. It's a promise that must be defended for everyone. When we fight for immigrant justice, racial equality, the right to the LGBTQIA community, and environmental justice, we don't just expand democracy, we safeguard it. Because if we don't fight for democracy and justice for all, we risk losing it entirely. I hope this helps.
Bullying black folks into being your pack mules and your scapegoats yet again for your fight for freedom is anti-black, and it is perpetuating white supremacist delusion. Period. I believe in functional solidarity. Functional solidarity is the collaboration across culture for the greater good of humanity. Anti-blackness cannot exist there, period. Since the first of my ancestors stepped off of that ship into enslavement to this very day, we have been the social experiment that whiteness used to establish systemic oppression that they would enforce on literally everyone else. It happens to this day. Period. Now that folks are sitting down, it is not that we don't have empathy. It's not even that we don't care. A lot of us told y'all this. We told y'all this. Y'all saw what they were doing to us, and then they did it to you. And then a lot of y'all still voted against your own best interest. This is not about me pointing fingers. This is about me trying to wake you people up so that you understand what your real fucking enemy is. These people have convinced you that you are quote unquote better than us because you're not black on the social hierarchy of whiteness. And now because all of these things are happening and we're not going to keep putting our lives on the line in the same way in order to be able to support and to scapegoat and to be your pack mule, now it's a problem. We kept being abandoned at every turn. We begged these people to stop killing our children. And some of y'all still blamed us for it. And still do. If y'all want this shit to work, you need to identify your anti-blackness and dismantle it now. Now. Because if we want to keep it a buck, a lot of the reasons that people are even getting up and doing anything is because we stopped. And it's not because we don't care. It is not because we don't have empathy. It's because we're tired of dying and being abandoned for the work that we're trying to do, not just for black people, but for the greater good of humankind. Lock in.
Black people, I know we talked about this a couple of months ago, especially right after the election. Don't you get caught up in those protests. I'm going to say it again. Sit your narrow ass down and don't you get caught up in those protests. Okay? Stay out of it. Because when we get out there, that's when the dynamic completely changes. Stay out of it. Stay out of it. What y'all are seeing right now, the America that we have is the America that people voted for. And they now want to say, well, I didn't vote for that. Well, if you voted for him, you voted for it. And you knew when you voted for it what you were voting for. Trump told you who he was. So black people, stay out of that shit. Stay out of those protests. Don't get caught up in that. Okay? Don't get caught up in that. Focus on what you need to do for yourself and for your family. And for those who say, oh, don't do that. No, 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 no. It is time for people who have never really had to be on the front lines to be on those front lines. Now, we're not going to have this discussion again because I know I should never see not one of y'all out there.
That's all I got from this video. And to that man that started with a Southern white man, I really do hope that they get to see this, because conservative Southern men can do anything to make sure that people that look like me and other people of color are just suffering. They do not even want you to ever be happy. The fact that some people have not been able to study these people, like how can you live with people and you are not able to study them? You don't understand them. Sometimes studying people does not mean that you have to sit down to read a book about them. Reading book is also very important. But are you not seeing their like their body language when it comes to you? Don't you see how they behave when they see you? Don't you see how they act? Sometimes body language is something people should always learn to read. When you come into a room, that's why I love my people. My people, once they come into a room, I don't know if there is a particular smell that once you come into a room, the room will smell like that and you are leaving because you know you are not supposed to be there. I don't know how you do it. Majority of the time, most time, I remember telling you people that, who is that? It's a celebrity, a black celebrity. She was on red carpet. What's her name again? Megan Thee Stallion. And while she was on red carpet, somebody said something to her immediately. I don't know how, some people, I don't know if it's maybe delayed. No, it's not. You all already know the people that you are working with, and you all are always at alert when you are with them. That thing is a huge flex on its own. Very huge flex. So immediately you are like, they told her something and she read it. She was able to know where they were going, and she gave them an answer that pulled everybody. I am like, man, this cannot be charm. It's not what something charm or anything can do. It is you always knowing the people you've been working with and being ready for them too. So you all have always been ready, But other people, maybe, I don't know if they are thinking that they are gonna change, but how do you want to? Nah, I ain't saying anything. It is only them that I found out that they would rather be suffering. They would rather be suffering, right, than to see you also enjoy that. The way that you always said they vote against their own interests. They don't also mind going through it, as long as you are also not okay. Why they did what they did, how they voted for this particular regime, was because they felt it was going to start with you. As the universe may have it, it actually started with them first. The Southerners, the conservatives, and all that, it's just really something I don't know how to describe. But one thing I know is that you all cannot continue living like this. And I don't know if there will be a wake-up call for you people, because, this is just who you are, and you are also exhibiting what you are. And people should learn to know this is who they are and follow them the way they are. Because whatever they give you, you give it to them back, than looking for a way to justify what they are doing. Like when my people always say, when they show you who they are, believe them. Do not ever make excuses for them. I will draw the curtain here and I will see you all in my next video. Bye for now.